Okay, let's see if everything is working.
Give us a second.
Okay, here we are, probably. Yeah, here we are. Everything is working. Fantastic. Fantastic. Amazing. Sorry, we are not streamers, we are players and designers, so
We are not very much accustomed to doing
Exactly.
these kind of things, so please be patient with us. Thanks a lot.
Exactly. But we like to talk about games, so especially this game, TADS, Post-Cyberpunk RPG, set in a dystopian and curious world, quite odd,
Yep.
I think. So,
Yep.
let's start.
Let's start talking about this game. I would just want to thank you all for being here. My name is Laura Fontanella. I am editor, translator, and additional writer for this marvelous game. And this is Marta Palverini, which is a game designer and developer. And we are part of Mana Project Studio, which is an Italian publishing house which is specialized in role-playing games and which is currently even exploring board games. Today we are here, as Marta has said before, to talk about TAS, which is our Post-Cyberpunk TTRPG, which will be launched very soon here on BakerKit.
In 3 days.
In 3 days, oh my god.
Yeah.
We are trying also to manage our anxiety, of course, but this is not a topic we are going to face today.
No. We're
so,
facing the topic of the people and the characters.
Yeah.
A lot of anxiety is
Exactly.
in this dystopian world.
Exactly. So I have prepared some questions for Marta, but of course feel free to ask your own questions in the comment. So if you have some things that you might ask, do not hesitate. And if we may start,
Yeah.
I'd like to. So my first question is about the reference. I think it might be interesting for you understanding better which is the imagery we have drawn from for this game. And so this is my question for Marta. Which are the references, which are the novels, the mangas, the those kind of products which have inspired this role-playing game?
Yeah, so let's talk about it. Talk about the cyberpunk as a genre, okay? We love cyberpunk. We love the ancient cyberpunk, the putrid one, the odd one, the really punk one. So some of our references are like the Japanese manga Akira, Bruce Sterling, She's Matrix, and Philip K. Dick novels. Okay, so this kind of cyberpunk is something that is really tailored to people and character and sorrow and terrible things that happen in the world. Okay, the body is part of our narration and storytelling. Is a core concept for us, and the construction of the body and the replacement of the body, in this case, in our case, in TATS, we will go deep further.
Yeah, sure. I do have a question about this topic, so don't worry.
Okay.
Go on.
We like the imaginary of the tribes. So Bruce Sterling, She's Matrix is something that's really connected to it. If you read this book, is something about being part of a small organization in conflict, struggling to survive. Okay. About Philip K. Dick, of course, we would like to, highlight all the facets of the psychology of the characters and the pain of the characters living in this kind of world. Okay. Next, we have a some philosopher as a reference. First of all, Don Haraway. It is an incredible good one. Read her if you can. talking about the ecosystemic approach to everything in our world, the ecosystemic approach between peoples, and also asking ourselves what is a person, okay? What is a persona also, what is an identity in this world. Of course, we would like also to thank an helpful thanks, I would like to send to Marx and Engels, other great philosopher that theorizes basically other possibility to organize in a dystopian setting that is our world right now. So basically, cyberpunk is now. You heard a lot this motto online everywhere. This is not a good thing, probably, but we would like to, tell a story that is not grim dark. This is a really dystopian setting. This is a bad place to live for the characters, but a spark of hope, a seed of hope, can really rise from the ruins of this world totally covered by ashes. Okay, so you have something like an approach to the world that is real different from, for example, characters in a setting, a real grimdark setting like Warhammer 40k. We are a fan of it, of course.
Yes, of course.
But
we love it.
okay,
but
so
it's different.
Different approach to a really obscure, really dark setting, but that is not totally grimdark. Okay.
About this point, we have somehow, I think, in this game, tried to describe a future which is both remote, but at the same time, every day a bit closer, right? And I think that this game is, was born for this, for showing how the world might be if the current society, which is constantly more cyberpunk, will be maybe in the long term. So I personally think that we have tried to go straight into that direction. As you said, trying to draw from certain philosophers, from certain novels, from certain mangas and products in general. And I think in general that dystopian and sci-fi novels and products have longly developed this topic. What is interesting, in my humble opinion, about us is the fact that we are trying to figure out all together at the role-playing game table with other people how this future will taste, and discover which are in fact the differences between the different subgenres of the sci-fi and the dystopian worlds. That said, I'm very much interested in the fact that in Taz, and this is one thing I'd like to ask to Marta, we have, of course, our characters that can be played, but at the same time we have a peculiar and specific sheet for the TADS. So the TADS, the Temporary Autonomous Zone, which is even the title of this game, is a thing on its own. So we have the possibility to explore the TAS itself and to play it as a free enclave. And I'd like to ask to Marta, so why have we decided to do so? And why we
this
have...
This is a fake interview, you know.
Absolutely, this
Okay.
is the
You know it,
fakest
you know it, we
interview
know it.
ever,
Okay, so,
ever. But this is part of the role-playing game,
course.
isn't it? So,
Yeah.
so this is the question: why having a sheet for the TADs?
Yeah.
What's the purpose with?
So basically, the TAS is a squad, okay? It's an occupied space in a free enclave. It's something real, it's something similar to what we have in the reality, and something that we wrote because we were part of TAS squads occupied space in our real lives. So we know, and we always knew probably that the TAS, an occupied space, free enclave, is an ecosystem. Okay, so it's a living body. It's something interconnected to the other huge ecosystem that surrounds it, but it's a body in itself. So the TAS is a living thing, is a living being, is something that can take fallout, so the crisis in the resistance system, is something that can that is prone to collapse, that is prone to death. Okay, the character in TAS know perfectly that their TAS can collapse anytime, and they're trying to develop it day by day, but they know perfectly that the TAS life cycle just finish with a collapse, and you have to rebuild it and restart from the scraps, and you have to rethink it because something went wrong. Okay, this is really something close to the real activism. This something real close to the possibility of resist in the real life. Okay, so it's probably the only simulationist part of the game that we love to share with you, because engaging in something that is living, that is something that is twisting, mutating, and you have to develop it, and it's something heavy to understand, also to play, but it's part of the cyberpunk world, knowing that everything is basically prone to collapse. So yeah, you have a character sheet for the TAS with basically similar or parallel rules, similar to characters. So, but this is a collective character that all the players at the table can play, and on this sheet you have to really build your TAS day by day, operation after operation.
Listen, I mean, in our Becker Kit page, but even in our posts on social media, we have also talk about the fact that our characters are prone, as you said, to lose the control over themselves somehow. And I'd like you to explain a bit more this concept, and maybe telling us something about even their bodies. Before you had mentioned the fact that is in this setting, I mean, the human body is something ephemeral under a certain point of view, because we do not have anymore our own bodies made in flesh and blood as we know them, but we have something different because this system, this setting, in all its facets, has stolen them from us. So I'd like you to explore a bit these two concepts, the bodies of the characters on one side, and on the other, the fact that our characters are destined to lose control over themselves.
Yeah. So the resistance system, we don't know if you played it in Spire or Heart. We basically start with a twist of Spire, specifically. You have the fallout, okay? So bad stuff that can happen if you fail. But the failing is part of the storytelling. Is a really a system with a fail-forward mechanic. So you have to understand that a failure is something that can move the narration, and it can move the story that you're written together at the table. So the fallout in TAS are extremely more dangerous, extremely more heavy on the characters, especially when the characters use their ideologies, push their ideologies. The ideologies are like the domain in art, so it's something that they can use to advantage themselves if they follow it, but they adhere a lot to it, too much maybe. They can go in a fallout if they fail, an extremist fallout. In TAS, we would like to talk about being human. Okay, our characters are all human. Maybe in cybernetic asks, maybe in symbiotic asks, so bodies full of fungus and horrible, creepy stuff. But basically they are human. Inside this husk, they are human. So they can fail. They are prone to failure. They are prone to twisting their ideologies, also in bad ways, really bad ways. So after failing, your character really go in another direction, can go in another direction, can act from, really, it's like self-conscious, okay? They develop a consciousness. They try to do stuff that maybe you can imagine and that you don't want to. And this is something that we would like to approach with this kind of system, and talking about Fallout. And the Fallouts are the main mechanics to do it. For example, there's an ask that is a free body ask, so one mind divided in three different bodies.
This is the one that I've played.
Yeah.
By the way.
Sorry.
No, I really enjoyed it. But
Terrible.
yeah.
And this character, for example, can trigger this fallout, that is the three-body problem. That is basically a fallout in which one of their body can really rebel against the other two and try to kill the other two bodies. This kind of fallout are really important in a cyberpunk setting like it. And with this kind of mechanics, we like to talk about losing the control on our own bodies in the setting. Okay, some of these bodies are not of property, basically, of the characters, but are corporate owned bodies. Okay, so we have something like bodies that can explode if you do stuff that are not cool for the corporation. You have bodies that can rebel. You have bodies that can snitch or betray the group, the collective. Okay, so you have different approach to what is living in a cybernetic or symbiotic or not human body, but also still being a human.
And you've mentioned the fact that the system we decided to use is the resistance system, which have been created by Grant Howitt and Chris Taylor. It's a system we have seen in Heart, the City Beneath, and Inspire, The City Must Fall. But many times we have seen what we have said, that we have somehow modified it, we have acted, and we have transformed it a bit for this precise setting. And so my question is, how have you transformed it? Where have you hacked the resistance system, and why? Which are even the motivations behind these design choices?
Yeah, first of all, the aforementioned domains become ideologies, so the push is not about being skilled on something, but is something connected to what your character believes, what your character think about the world, and how your character approach the world itself. And so, starting from these pushes, you can go in the aforementioned the extremist fallout. Then we have, of course, this approach to the fallout, that where we can see really heavy fallout. You are not an adventurer delving in a dungeon. You are a cyberpunk crazy activist that go really apeshit sometimes. So sometimes, yeah. Your body is basically a war machine. Okay, so limb mutilation, everything you can imagine can happen to your body, especially in a war in which you have different resistances. The resistances are tracks where you can put the stress, accumulate stress during action, fading action, or even partial success. And you receiving stress, you will trigger after that. But you receive stress on 5 different resistances, 2 that are quite easy to understand. One is mind, of course, it is how they talk about the sanity of your character in this horrible world, and your mental health, of course. It is approached with a lot of trigger warning, of course, but this is a topic that we would like to deep dive in it, because it's important. It's something that the cyberpunk have to talk about, especially in a cyberpunk world inspired by also Philip Dick. Then you have your body, basically your husk, and that is named Rust. So the possibility to take damage. You have a lot of different possibilities to take damage on your body. Your body is not a temple in this setting. Your body is a medium to do stuff. Maybe you approach your body as something that you are not really accustomed to, because you have to change a lot of new different bodies in order to survive. So the classic cyber psychosis is also connected to a lot of different implementation upgrades on your body, so you will trigger sometimes this kind of terrible stuff on yourself. Next, you have info, that is information. The fact is that basically all the people in this world don't know a lot about this world. So information is a resource. You have to spend it, you have to accumulate it, you have to use it. But if you lose information, you don't know what's happening around you. Okay. Then you have panopticon. Panopticon is the mass surveillance, basically. How much your character is notorious, how much they are wanted, how many people are searching them. And finally, we have the oxygen, O2. That is a resistance that is connected to one of the main pillars of our setting, that is basically a setting where all the oxygen, but the art is basically without oxygen. We are living in a heart that is deprived, exactly.
By the resources.
Deprived of the resources. So an archeo heart, like an ancient heart. Of course, you can produce oxygen. It's quite easy to produce oxygen, but of course they can size your mean of production, and the biggest mean of production are basically controlled by the corporation and the Subterrea regime. So you have to size them, you have to reacquire them and redistribute your oxygen to the people. So
even to the other characters sometimes.
Even to
right?
the other characters.
I mean, it might be one
Yeah,
of the
there
situations
is a class. There is a
you
class.
might end up with.
There is a class, the living tank, that is doing exactly this. So basically, a huge healer, a tank healer of the entire group that is connected to O2 resistance.
You've mentioned, you've mentioned Subterrea, which is this underworld below the surface. And I'd like to ask you something about this part of the setting, because till this moment we have described what happens on the surface of this planet, which has been deprived by its resources. We have talked about the TAS, which are these enclaves, once again on the surface of the planet. But we know that the enemies somehow are into the core of the planet itself, and they are living in this metropolis, I'd say,
Yeah.
in which they basically can do whatever they want. And so I'd like you to explore a bit more this part of the setting. What is a Subterrea? Who are the inhabitants of this part of the world?
Yeah, imagine Subterra like a collection of reigns, of kingdoms, of infinite possibilities that are not real possibilities, you know. It's a trick of the capitalism. It's a trick of the system that say, of course, you can have everything in Subterra. It's a golden dream of possibility where the hands of the free market will guide us into a new era of infinite growth. Of course, it's a lie. It's a collection of different kingdoms, yes, where the rulers are basically CEOs of huge corporations. Post-human, transhuman CEO that are basically avatar of the system itself. They rule on this kingdom that are like differentiated in different categories. Okay, like you have the kingdom of the ADVs, the kingdom of the market and the marketing. You have the kingdom where all the bio stuff are produced. You have really odd stuff in Subterra. You have some resistance also. Not all the people that live in Subterra are bad people, but it's really difficult to organize and rebel against the system when you are surrounded by it. This is a system with a lot of corpo cops, basically the police of Subterra. This is also an army. That is also the Inquisition of this setting, that they are trying to find and destroy all the possibility of resistance on the surface and inside Subterra itself. Subterra also have different entrances, different gates on it that can conduce on it, and it can drive your character in it in a deep dive, exactly, in this realm of absurd and extremist capitalism. You have to approach Subterra like a huge dungeon, okay, where everything can kill you. Part of your task can be in Subterra. You can extend your task in Subterra, but it is really dangerous because you are, of course, attracting attention. You are going to obtain a lot, maybe, but a lot of attention also. So the panopticon surveillance can find you and can bring your task to collapse.
And about that, we are just going through questions after question, but we are also going through a conclusion somehow. But before leaving each other with the very last question, I'd like to ask Marta something about the quick start, something about the core book, because we have uploaded the quick start some weeks ago on drive-through. And I'd like to ask which is the content, if you'd like maybe to show us and to give us a brief overview of what there's for those who maybe have not yet downloaded.
Yeah, let's see also the quick start.
Entertaining.
Here, okay, it's correct.
I think so, in any case.
In the quick start you have everything you need for playing the first 2 sessions, basically, of TATS. You have 5 pre-generated character and a description of the setting, and all the fallouts, the playable fallouts, some of the possible extremist fallout that are triggered by the ideologies of the character. You have different tags that you can use on your upgrades. There are a lot. You have basically all the rules that you need to play, okay, except the character creation and all the operation that you can take to develop your cards and also fight against Subterrea. Also, you don't have all the enemies, of course. All the stuff will be published in the final core book. We are working on it.
I swear.
I swear.
You're working.
With all different classes. Maybe we can deep dive also on the different classes that you didn't see in the quick start, like the Charon, that is basically a rogue doc that can take your brain and upload it in another husk. You saw the Cradle, that is with the generative possibilities and power in the quick start. You saw the Enigma in the quick start. You saw the Living Tank, but you didn't see the Musterid. That is basically a fixer of the wasteland. Someone that can redistribute the goods, the resources, and it can find new resources. You saw the neural singularity in the quick start. You saw the repeater in the quick start. You didn't see the roamer, that is basically a wanderer of the wasteland, scout, basically a ranger, if you prefer. Okay. And you didn't see the solar engine, that is basically our glass cannon. We have also their art here. It's really cool. Yeah. You will find a lot of different stuff in this huge core book, but we will also publish, as you probably saw on our page, different scenarios, different adventure, we can call it adventure if you want, that are a collection of operations that can guide you in a huge campaign, and we'll have also some guest scenario written by some of really good authors of the RPG
But we can
scene.
say
We can say anything. We can
So
say
this is a
anything.
okay. This is a kind of a secret. So
Exactly.
we are not allowed to say anything.
Exactly.
And yep. Do you want to add something more about the quick start?
Yeah.
Or something you would like to add?
In the quick start, you find also a huge part dedicated to what is the task life cycle. So if you are curious to discover better what we were talking about
Yes,
before about this kind of little ecosystem that is the squat, the occupy space, the free enclave, the TAS. In the crystal you can discover a lot, because basically you have a lot of rules, the core rules to play it, understand how the system is developed around it. Okay, so just read it, because you'll find something that can explain. For example, there are operation that you can take with your character. You have to fill different track by the, using action and doing stuff in the setting, and you have rewards. The rewards are the different stuff that you can add to your task, like NPCs and facilities to your tasks. You can use the NPCs and facilities in a downtime situation after each operation. So but remember that the task will collapse.
Yeah,
So
it's part of the cycle,
it's
as we
part
said
of the
before.
cycle. So failing is part of the game. This is not a game about evolving a character for years. Okay, your character will explode quite soon. Not maybe too soon, but it will explode. So everything will collapse in that. Approach it like a huge storytelling with all the other people at the table. Talking about character creation, you will find all the classes in the core book. You will find all the different husks that you can take and use. A lot of different upgrades. You have some in the quick start, but there will be more, of course. You can use to rearrange your body, and a lot of different drives, or better, the 5 drives. So the motivation of your PCs, we will be developed a lot in the core book, with different possibilities, different twists that you can take to evolve your character and push them to infinite possibilities.
Last question.
Yeah.
So last question is about something that we have heard being said, which is that in TAS we tried to put the punk into the cyberpunk.
Yeah.
I understand that this might be a strong sentence to be said, but I'd like you to comment it briefly, just for understanding which are the differences between this setting, all the things we have already said, and the most common and traditional, under a certain point of view, cyberpunk we are now a bit accustomed to.
Yeah. First of all, the main goal of that is speak about punk. Yeah, they are cybernetic, but they are first of all punks. So why? Because we are punks too. We know perfectly what we're talking about, and we'd like to share it to the audience, telling different stories that are not so aesthetically and prone to the aesthetic concept of cyberpunk. We'd like to develop something more, again, a deep dive on the core topics of cyberpunk, developing them in a different way, talking about, yes, body, okay, but also human being, but also the connection of what can be a human in a setting that is a really cruel, dystopian, horrible setting, exploring the psychology of this character, exploring not only how many damage they can inflict, but also the political consequences of their action and why they are doing something. You basically the system can define your character as a terrorist. Okay, let's take Johnny Silverhand as an example. If you know the character from Cyberpunk, the original Cyberpunk. Okay, let's rearrange it. Okay, rearrange Johnny Silverhand. Think about Johnny Silverhand with a lot of different ideologies, more ideologies that Johnny Silverhand can have, and develop in a detailed way, in possibility that Johnny Silverhand is not only a narcissist. Maybe your Johnny Silverhand instead will be a psycho-narcissist, okay? But they will really believe in something. They will probably explode. They will probably kill everything on their way, okay? But for a reason, a really, really, really strong reason. You don't have to say I agree with it or not. This is not the topic, okay? You, as a player, can think a lot of different stuff about your character, but basically your characters are terrorists. So you probably will not love your characters as inspired. For example, you can play fundamentalist draws. In TAS you will play really, really extremist people. You can accept them, you can agree with them or not. This is part of the game, but it's outside the game. Okay, so let's play the game and find what happened with with all this plethora of characters.
And so I actually have handed my questions. So if there are questions from you people, please do not hesitate to make them into the comment. Otherwise, we will be available. You can just write us. You can write to Mana Project Studio, to our email addresses. One of them is editorial at manaprojectstudio.com. So please find us and ask us whatever you want. As said before, if you haven't downloaded the Quick Start, please do and play it and try
Be our guest.
to set this game at your own table, and let us know at the very end if you join the resistance somehow with us when the Becker Kit launch will be finally live. And that's it, I think. So I'd like to thank you all for your kind attention and for your enthusiasm for having been here with us today. And that's it, I think.